In this video, I'm going to talk about the use of what I call a kayak dolly. I've been using a kayak cart up until this point, and I wanted to share some of the information that I came across and what I've done to institute the use of what I call a kayak dolly. For the most part, I launch my kayak where there is an actual ramp, but I also use my kayak cart when I launch at other places that don't have a ramp. So you've seen video of my current kayak dolly. This is where the journey began. I've been fine using this Malone kayak cart. Works fine. Had the beach tires, sand tires, whatever you want to call it. Works fine. It's difficult for me when this kayak is fully loaded to lift it on and off that cart. It's a little bit awkward. So I wanted to do a DIY, quote, kayak dolly, and that's what this is. I attached a rod and a little holder to keep the bow in place when it was resting here, and then I created this PVC handle. I'll talk more about that piece later. That said, I was looking for a better mousetrap. So I was checking out some YouTube videos one day, and I came across this kayaker that was using a similar product by a different name that happens to be very pricey. So I did some other searching online and came across this product, which is the direction that I went. At the time, mine wasn't this price. It was like $109 or something like that. But price aside, you can see in their description that it's kind of billed as a boat trailer dolly, hand dolly, and so on. Fishing boats, under a certain size and so on. Sailboats was what it was initially billed as, I think. But in any case, this is the product and the direction that I've gone and probably will remain. You can see how it's currently configured and set up for more of a boat application with these rests right here. They're kind of flattened out a little bit and really don't work well as far as a kayak application. In a minute, I'll share with you some pictures of some mods that I did to this particular product to make it work for my application. I'll just click through a series of the other images they have on the site so that you can see some of the other ways that this particular product can be used and the way that they advertise it on their website. So I'll share with you some of the mods that I made to this product, starting with the support brackets that used to stick out here. It was a piece of material just like this, only it was out here and it was kind of flattened. And I didn't want there to be so much play with the front of the kayak moving side to side or kind of falling out of the immediate line of the kayak dolly. So this is a PVC and otherwise metal product that I made and replaced the supports that were on here originally, and I'll show you a couple of pictures of that assembly. So I began to brainstorm how I could go about fashioning the finished product that I showed you a minute ago. I went to Home Depot and was looking around for some products, and this is a 90-degree pretty rigid bracket used for building decks and so on. In addition to this piece here, this is also a 90-degree bracket, just a different version. These are the original connection points for the other support piece that came off of this original bracket right here on each side. So I took that off. I used the same hardware. These bolts are what held on the other support bracket, and I just came up with this initial 90-degree piece, which creates the V that you saw in the previous picture. And I needed a way to attach this to the main frame, and I used this bracket to do that. So this worked pretty well. And then I also cut off the excess with a grinding wheel, and I cut off the excess that extended down here and off the bottom here just to clean it all up. So now we're looking at the same piece of assembly from the front with some additional pieces I'll explain. This is the 90-degree bracket you saw just a moment ago, and these smaller brackets I used to attach it to this main assembly. These are two 12-inch pieces of PVC that fit exactly over the initial 90-degree bracket very nicely. There was a lot of extra room inside that 2-inch PVC with just this thin piece of bracket in here, so I took two 3/4-inch 12-inch pieces of PVC and put them together with this elbow to take up the extra space in here and tighten it all up. So this is just a wider angle look at the near completed product. This piece of PVC that I put on the end of this rail has since been removed. I'll explain that in a minute. You can see just kind of a wider look at how this turned out. I've obviously since come back and painted these black. So here's a picture of my kayak sitting on the dolly. Up here you can see the piece that I did the modification on. This kayak dolly does come with enough piping to allow you to adjust the length of the dolly, and this is the length I established based on wanting the wheels to be close to the midpoint of the kayak. That's why I placed this modification where I did, so that when I lift the kayak up, it balances close to the center of the kayak and makes the weight on the handle a little bit less than if the wheels were resting at the back end of the kayak. Here's a picture of the kayak dolly prior to my putting and loading the kayak on it, just so you can see. I also established an angle to these skids that kind of fits the hull of the kayak better. And then here's the finished piece that I created on the front. I painted the PVC black. I also took a couple of spray can tops and stuck them on the ends of the PVC. They just happened to fit perfectly. And then I bought some black foam rubber to put over top of the PVC just for padding on the hull. I also mentioned earlier that I would talk about this PVC handle that I used on my DIY Kayak Dolly. I'll talk more about that in the next picture, but for now, for this particular picture in this angle, I have a piece of tension strap tied to the stock handle that the dolly came with, and I wrap it around the handle to provide support because this PVC handle would flex otherwise. So here's my kayak on the dolly, fully loaded just prior to launch. The other comment I wanted to make is about this PVC handle that I have here at the front. I also bolted on a 90-degree bracket similar to the others on the bottom side of the dolly, allowing enough space for the handle to fit over top of it. And I used this nylon strap connected to the stock handle to keep the handle that would otherwise flex from moving in this direction as I was trying to pull it with the handle. I also decided to put this handle on here because if you use the stock handle, the stern of the kayak comes close to and or might drag the ground. So this allows me to keep the kayak more level when I'm handling the kayak, pushing it and pulling it into place.